The family of your love is discussing you. This is the reason. Don't skip, my dear youngster. Because you are unaware of how much more significant the current situation is. Your soulmate's family is discussing you somewhere behind closed doors. And the explanation isn't what everybody anticipated. Your name was initially said softly, as if it were a secret. Nobody wanted to speak aloud. Then there was an abrupt silence in the room. The individual who had been observing your soulmate the closest caught everyone's attention. When that guy did speak, everything changed. There's a big thing waiting for you, so stay until the very end. The words exchanged in that room are setting off a series of events that have the potential to drastically alter the course of this relationship. They are no longer posing straightforward queries. They are attempting to comprehend why your love can no longer ignore your existence. They can no longer avoid talking about every smile, every quiet moment, and every inexplicable shift. And everyone was left staring at one another, unsure of how to respond to what they found next. A family member said in a whisper that they had never witnessed your soulmate defend someone else's name the way they defend yours. Another acknowledged that they had observed anything months prior but chose to remain silent because they thought it would go away. Rather, the emotions only grew more intense. The reality became increasingly apparent the more they observed. No one could describe how your soulmate was evolving. Their choices started to diverge. Their priorities changed. Even their dreams began to hint at a future that none of the family anticipated. This is the reason this discussion is taking place right now rather than later. They feel as though they are on the verge of a moment that will change their lives, and they are unable to act as though they no longer see it. When someone unexpectedly entered the room and disclosed something that no one else knew, the conversation became even more heated. This is when everything starts to take shape, so don't skip. This person discreetly acknowledged that they had just had a private conversation with your soulmate. They anticipated hearing hesitancy, doubt, or bewilderment. Rather, they discovered complete assurance concealed by quiet. Your soulmate didn't say much about you, but there was a depth of feeling in every word that was impossible to ignore. The family's perspective on everything was altered by that one conversation. All of a sudden, they began wondering why your influence had grown so strong instead of whether you mattered. There's a big thing waiting for you, so stay until the very end. Everyone seated at the table began to recall memories one by one. They recalled times when your soulmate would smile for no apparent reason, take extra precautions with their phone, or lose themselves in contemplation upon hearing your name. Suddenly, seemingly little information came together like puzzle pieces. The biggest surprise then arrived. One relative admitted that they had secretly hoped that someone similar to you would show up someday since they thought your soulmate had been carrying too much emotional burden for too long. The atmosphere in the room shifted upon hearing those words. The discussion began to seem hopeful rather than investigative. However, not everyone was in agreement. One voice remained unsure, clear's throat, reminding everyone that difficult decisions are frequently accompanied by intense emotions. Everyone realized that the next choice may affect not just your soulmate's destiny but also your own, and the room became silent once more. One last revelation altered the course of the conversation just as it appeared to be coming to an end. This is the moment that nobody anticipated, so don't miss it. Something that had been concealed for longer than anyone knew was discreetly placed on the table by a family member. It was not a very valuable item. It was a recollection, an anecdote, and a reminder of a pledge your soulmate had previously made regarding the type of person they would wait for. Every eye in the room grew wide as those words were read aloud. In ways that seemed nearly impossible, the description fit you. The ensuing silence weighed more than any disagreement could have. Nobody chuckled. Nobody spoke up. Rather, they came to the realization that they had misjudged the relationship from the start. There's a big thing waiting for you, so stay until the very end. Your soulmate's concern for you is no longer questioned by your family. When the truth eventually finds its way to you, they wonder what will happen. Your soulmate is unaware that this conversation has already had a profound impact on hearts behind closed doors. But we're about to start another conversation. One that might uncover a secret that has been maintained a secret up to this point. Someone in the family is aware of a fact that has never been expressed out loud. Nothing will ever feel the same between you and your love after they finally say those words. Even though a new dawn had come, the conversation within your soulmate's family was still going on. Actually, it had only gotten deeper during the night. While one person silently acknowledged that something still didn't make sense, another couldn't stop repeating every word that had been said. Don't skip because everyone was taken aback by what transpired next. The silence was finally broken by the oldest voice in the room, who asked an unexpected question. Why has everything happened so quietly if this link is really so strong? The entire conversation was altered by that one question. All of a sudden, people started recalling moments they had been ignoring for months. Even if your name was never spoken out loud, they recalled how your sweetheart would suddenly grin while gazing out the window, how they got particularly protective whenever someone spoke poorly about love, and how they appeared calmer after thinking about you. There's a big thing waiting for you, so stay until the very end. Then something even more surprising was disclosed by another family member. They admitted that, anticipating a swift denial, they had once asked your sweetheart if there was someone special. Rather, your soulmate just said, "Some people arrive in your heart long before they arrive in your life," while grinning and averting their gaze. That response was kept a secret until now. Everyone in the audience felt a surge of emotion upon hearing it, realizing that those words had never been intended for just anyone. They carried quiet certainty, hope, and patience. Even the most doubtful family member stopped fighting for the first time. Everyone realized they were seeing emotions that had been developing in secret for much longer than they had anticipated, and the room became silent. As the conversation went on, another unanticipated voice spoke up and shared information that completely altered the situation once more. No one else had noticed what this family member had. They clarified that long before anyone knew why, your soulmate had subtly begun making different decisions. The old habits vanished. There were new objectives. Little sacrifices were made without anticipating recognition. Everyone initially thought these changes were just a natural part of getting older. They realized now that there had always been a different explanation. This revelation linked all the missing pieces, so don't skip. The family started telling stories they had never told out loud, one by one. Someone recalled how your love turned off a chance that might have taken them far. Another recalled them stating that they didn't want success to have any significance if they didn't have someone significant to share it with. Another recalled hearing a discussion about true loyalty, which caused your soulmate to become unusually emotional during a routine family meal. Before, none of these moments had made sense. All of the memories now headed in the same direction. There's a big thing waiting for you, so stay until the very end. The sentence that drastically changed the mood came next. I think they've already chosen who they want beside them, a close relative discreetly acknowledged. They're simply waiting for the ideal opportunity, I said, and nobody disagreed. Rather, the identical conclusion was reflected in every expression. The family had stopped talking about options. They were getting ready for what they could now plainly see coming. Even though your soulmate hasn't yet revealed all the truth. The silence was broken by a phone ringing just as everyone thought there was nothing more to discover. The space went cold. This unexpected call contained news that no one was ready to hear, so don't skip. It was a brief exchange of words. But every second that went by, the listener's expression shifted. After the call finished, they gently surveyed the room before disclosing that your partner had undergone the same alterations as someone outside the family. It was no longer fantasy. It wasn't a coincidence. Even those who knew very little about the situation had started to realize that something significant was happening. There's a big thing waiting for you, so stay until the very end. Every family member realized this connection could no longer be concealed, and there was a profound silence. Lastly, a single, barely audible sentence was uttered. They have yet to reveal one truth to us. Everyone's attention was immediately drawn to those words. What is the truth? Why was it still concealed? Who was aware of it before? The room was full with questions, yet there were no responses. Rather, everyone knew that the next talk you had with your soulmate would disclose something much more than anyone could have predicted. Beneath all the feelings, hope, and unresolved issues was one last secret that the family had never been told. Not only will the revelation of that secret alter their perception of you, but it will also fundamentally alter everything they believe to be true about this relationship. After those final remarks, the room became silent. Everyone was afraid that something that had been concealed for far too long might come to light in the coming minutes, so nobody spoke quickly. Unaware that every pair of eyes was already looking for solutions, your partner eventually entered the room. This is the moment that changes everything, so don't miss it. It was impossible to ignore the silence. Your lover knew right away that something out of the ordinary had occurred. Rather than inquire as to what was wrong, they sat down and waited in silence. The family was taken aback by that composed response alone. It seemed as though they had previously anticipated this day. There's a big thing waiting for you, so stay until the very end. The eldest family member then asked a question that no one else dared to ask. Is there someone who has fundamentally altered your outlook on the future? Your soulmate remained silent for a short while. They just lowered their gaze, grinned subtly, and inhaled deeply. More was answered by that one statement than by any number of words. Every uncertainty in the room started to vanish. Then, in all honesty, your sweetheart confessed that everyday plans had lost their significance since you had entered their thoughts. Instead of fleeting excitement, they had begun to envision a future based on loyalty, trust, and peace. Every statement was sincere, and the family could hear it. There was no need for a spectacular speech. Their eyes already showed the truth. Everyone recognized at that very time that there was no turning back and that this link had subtly become stronger than anyone had anticipated. When a family member posed the question that everyone had been wondering in private, the discussion became even more in-depth. What has been holding you back if your emotions are this genuine? The response stunned everyone in the room, so don't skip. After a few moments of silence, your sweetheart finally spoke honestly. They acknowledged that they had never experienced fear of falling in love. Losing someone who truly understood them was what really scared them. They acknowledged that they thought genuine connections should be treated with patience rather than pressure, therefore they wanted every step to occur at the appropriate moment. There's a big thing waiting for you, so stay until the very end. The atmosphere was drastically altered by those words. Even the family members who had been unsure of what was going on immediately realized how serious it was. Then one more surprising detail emerged. Your soulmate disclosed that they had discreetly declined chances, disregarded distractions, and left circumstances that did not fit with their ideal future. Up until today, nobody had realized the true cause. All of the sacrifices had been made in silence, without anticipating acknowledgement. When the family understood these feelings weren't fleeting, they exchanged tearful looks. They were heartfelt choices. Curiosity had vanished from the talk. It was like seeing the start of a transformative chapter in someone's life that had been going on behind the scenes for a lot longer than anyone knew. One last query reverberated through the room just as everyone thought all the truths had finally come to light. Is this person aware of your intense feelings? Every nook and cranny was silent once more. The answer contained the biggest surprise of all, so don't skip it. Your soulmate shook their head slowly. They acknowledged that a lot of emotions had remained unsaid, not because they lacked bravery but rather because they wanted the moment to be real rather than hurried. The family was stunned by those words. There's a big thing waiting for you, so stay until the very end. The room felt lighter all of a sudden when someone smiled softly and said, "Maybe destiny has been waiting for the right moment all along." There was still one mystery, though. One family member pulled your soulmate aside before they left and whispered something so unexpected that their expression instantly changed. Those words were not heard by anyone else. Nobody knows exactly what was said, but your soulmate made a silent choice right then that could change the whole story. Later that night, the mood in the house was entirely different. Even though the prior discussion was over, its influence could still be felt in everyone's heart. Your partner had made a silent decision before leaving the room, and no one could stop thinking about it. The largest turning point to date is revealed in the following few moments, so don't miss it. Family members started talking to each other in private one by one, attempting to decipher the possible meaning of the whispered message. Some people thought it was finally time for your soulmate to express their emotions. Others thought there was one last thing separating the two of you. Then an unforeseen event occurred. After such an intense exchange, a close family discreetly acknowledged that they had never seen your sweetheart appear so at ease. There was clarity instead of uncertainty. Quiet determination took the place of fear. There's a big thing waiting for you, so stay until the very end. The family came to understand that this was more than a fleeting feeling. With each day that went by, the decision became more and more solid. Then another recollection came to mind. Your soulmate once said that true love should never be rushed, but it should also never be disregarded. Those words sounded commonplace at the time. They had a completely different meaning now. Everyone knew that long before anybody else noticed, your sweetheart had been preparing their heart. There was hope in the room. However, a single unresolved question persisted in everyone's thoughts. When would the next action take place? The solution appeared to be closer than anyone had thought. Your soulmate discreetly left the house early the following morning without giving a reason. The whole family was left wondering by this unexpected event, so don't skip it. They no longer displayed signs of anxiety. They appeared determined, as though they had at last discovered the bravery they had been looking for. There's a big thing waiting for you, so stay until the very end. The family kept wondering about what possibly be going on for hours. Then there was a call. It was brief, but it drastically altered the atmosphere in the house. One sentence was enough to leave everyone stunned, even though the respondent didn't provide every information. Everything is starting to come together. Because they could see the emotion on the listener's face, no one asked another question. All doubts that had been present only a day earlier began to vanish. The family came to the realization that they had missed one crucial fact because they had spent so much time attempting to comprehend your soulmate's emotions. The strongest bonds can sometimes develop subtly until the ideal time comes. All of the conversations, memories, and secret smiles had been building toward this precise moment. Everyone in the house felt that something significant was now proceeding, and the atmosphere changed from one of uncertainty to one of anticipation. Your soulmate eventually came home as the sun started to set once more. Although they had a composed expression, the family had never seen such confidence in their eyes. Don't skip it because this chapter's last revelation completely alters everything. Nobody inquired about their whereabouts. Nobody had to. No explanation could match the silent smile on your soulmate's face. There's a big thing waiting for you, so stay until the very end. Suddenly, your soulmate said, I finally know what I have to do next, after taking a gentle look around the room. The atmosphere was filled with emotion by those straightforward statements. The family did not have a boisterous celebration. Rather, they looked at each other with hope, knowing that the wait was nearly over. However, there was one last surprise before everyone went to bed. The family received a communication from an unexpected source that included facts that might fundamentally alter their perception of this relationship. The message was brief, but it included one astounding element that no one had before thought about. Everyone turned to face your soulmate, anticipating their response. They took a deep breath, smiled quietly, and said, now the truth can finally be revealed. At that moment, everyone realized that the best part of this tale was still to come. It was just the beginning, and the following disclosure would reveal a secret that may permanently alter both of your destinies.